Hi there, this is Dilys Guyan from dilysguyan.com, international sales and marketing leader, coach and speaker. And as always, of course, you don't have to be international to work with me. And I've got a great guest with me this morning who's going to talk to us about repurposing content. And honestly, she has been a revelation to me. So let me just give you a little bit of a background, and then we can dig in, and Gudrun can give us the words of wisdom from her experience. So we have with us Gudrun Lorette. Is that correct, Gudrun?
It is, yeah. I apologise. It's such a strange name. Crazy parents.
Gudrun, you don't have to apologise. You know, remember, my name is Dilys Guyan.
That's true.
No apologies needed. So let me just give you a little bit of Gudrun's background. So she's been a published writer for 20 years and a qualified transcriptionist for the past 5. And she believes that qualifications and accreditations are vital to demonstrate competency. And she's focused on these really in her teenage years. And she has a journalism qualification from the International Recognized Council for the Training of Journalists. And she is an industry preferred supplier, preferred trainer. She's attained her undergraduate degree in communication from Northumbria University. Lovely place, by the way, Gudrun.
Yes, thank you.
And she has combined 20 years of writing skills with an audio typing qualification to offer a unique bespoke service in repurposing content for busy entrepreneurs, saving them time and helping them to increase their reach and generate more sales, which of course is what we all want. So with both public and private sector experience, she's used to working with senior management and liaising with external professional agencies to help businesses communicate their message clearly and effectively. So welcome, Gudrun. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And I will just say and share this, that we met not that long ago, really, and we met in a coffee queue at a conference.
That's right, we did.
And I'm stood in this queue and I heard these dulcet, Geordie tones, and I thought, that's definitely someone from where I used to come from, because those of you may not know, but I've lived in Oxford for 30 years. Anyway, I heard these dulcet, Geordie tones, turned around and sort of introduced myself, or I think the usual thing was, are you from the Northeast then? Yep. And you were with Jerry, weren't you?
That's right, the amazing Jerry King, yeah.
Oh, he's fantastic, isn't he?
He is.
I must get him on the interview show at some point.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Yeah. So this conference that we went to, Gudrun, was all about content and content. Really, the phrase I think is content is king, and how important it is in terms of getting your message out. But could you just expand on that? When we talk about content marketing and repurposing content, can you just give us a bit more on that?
Yeah, sure. So content, I think can sound a bit, I think people worry a bit about what content means, and it's basically any marketing or educational messages that you want to share with your existing customers, your potential customers, your suppliers, even your competitors and anybody you collaborate with. And it's anything that can be online or offline, and it's, it can be simple as a blog or a brochure that you've got, anything like that. And repurposing is just a way of presenting the information in a different format to the original. So you might take a blog and turn that into an audio or a video, or you might take a webinar, and it's just an easier way of creating more content. So content is just anything that you want to share with people that tells people who you are, what your business does, and most importantly, how you can help them. Perfect. So it sounds like a frightening term, but it's not, and it's much easier than it sounds, I promise.
Yeah. And really, when I spoke to you, and I said earlier, it was a revelation speaking to you, and it really was, because I have got absolutely tons of content in many different formats. And we're going to talk later about specifically how we can use them. But it really opened my eyes as to how I can I use the word expose myself, metaphorically speaking.
Yes.
But without having to do more work.
Yeah, you've got it all there.
Yes. So thank you very much for that, and hence you coming on the show today, really. So let's just look at this then. Business owners know, and in fact, salespeople, this should relate to them too, but I don't think it is relating to them yet in quite the same ways it is with business people.
Yeah.
So they know that it's noisy out there, noisier in the marketplace than it's ever been before, because there are so many ways of getting your message out. So they know they need to do it, but what do you think it is that stops a lot of people doing it? Because I know people are still relying on word of mouth, or just sending an email, or making a one telephone call.
I think that's a really good question. I think one of the things that worries people is that I think they have to be experts in technology. There seems to be a lot of change happening very quickly. And I think that worries people. As you said, it's getting increasingly busy. If you want your customers to find you, you have to have an online presence. You've got to have a website. If you're going to have queries and hopefully not, but if you do have complaints, or you want to build relationships, you've got to be on social media. And it's what they call Web 2.0, which means that you're not just sending your message, you're not just shouting at people. They're coming back to you and responding. So, you need to, it's everybody's favourite phrase, to get people to know, like, and trust you. And to do that, you've got to be there all the time. You've got to be consistent. You've got to be fresh. You've got to be engaging. And that's really daunting, because if you're a business owner, especially a small business owner, your priority is generating income, is to keep the business going, and, to keep your existing customers happy. So, you don't have the time for that. It's a bit worrying to think, I've got to, say you're an accountant, it's the obvious example, you've got to prepare the books, but you've got to tell other people about that as well. I think that's it. I think people just don't know where to start. And they also think, I don't have the time. And a lot of people in more traditional industries will also think that it doesn't apply to them. And I think that's a really big one. I think because, you have these online methods a lot and you're using social media, it's hard to see how that could be applicable or appropriate to the work you do. And I think that's something else that holds people back, because there's the notion that social media is all Snapchatting for the tweens. So I think that there's a lot of barriers to people, and it is a question of just trying to get over that, and to have confidence, and to remember that no matter what it is your business is, there are people who want that service. There are, otherwise you wouldn't be in business. And to have the confidence to present that to them in new ways that maybe they haven't considered, just to let them know that you're out there, and you really have to sort of put your hand up above everybody else's head and say, come to me. And this is how I can help you. So I think, it's hard, but it's necessary.
It's doable.
It is doable. Yeah, it is.
And I interviewed Mark Schaefer last week, and we talked about the very word you've used, consistency. So if you want to become known, or the term I use, his term's better actually to get, my term of exposing yourself is probably not as nice. But it does make people giggle. So, one, you do need to get out there and be seen and become known.
Yes, you do.
And you have to be consistent. So it's no good if you just, you decide to set up a podcast, for example, and you do one or two every every 6 months. It's not enough. And this consistency word is really relevant, isn't it? In terms of whatever it is you decide to do, because you don't have to do everything.
That's
you
true.
can just decide which method you're going to use, and then being consistent with it. And I know that you've got masses of experience with people to help them. And again, we'll talk about that as to how you can help people be consistent, because I think this is one of the things that people they get worried and think, well, I don't want to commit to this because I'm not sure that I can continue.
Yeah, and we all feel like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But by using someone like you,
yes, that helps. If you outsource it to somebody else who can do it for you, that takes the pressure off, and you're also reassured that you will have information there consistently to put out. And it's like you said, you don't have to do everything, and there are lots of different methods that aren't appropriate to every business. And you can start small. And I think the main key, and Mark probably touches on it, is a schedule.
Yes.
But you don't need to feel frightened by that. It's not a revision timetable. It's you might only have 3 or 4 things per week, but so long as you know that every week you're going to do this, this, and this, and there might just be little chunks of information, you can just tick it off. You can schedule it into your whatever tool you use to schedule, and put it out of your mind, or you get somebody else to do it, and then either they schedule it or pass it to whoever schedules it for you, and then it's all taken care of for you.
Yeah, fantastic. So talk to us a little bit more and give us some examples of how you can repurpose.
Yeah, so like I said, repurposing is a way to increase your output, but without having to spend too much time creating new content. So it does help you share your message further, and it's a good way to find people on different platforms. So not just Twitter or LinkedIn, but on Facebook, on things like Pinterest and Instagram. People prefer to consume their information in different ways. So I prefer to read, because I'm a writer, but a lot of people prefer to listen while they're exercising, or they're happy to sit down and watch a video for half an hour. So you might not feel comfortable with that, but if that's what they like, then you have to be responsive to that. And it's a way to give people a clear idea of what it is you do and to reinforce that for them. So the repurposing is to take something you've already got and to turn it into something new. So you might make it longer, or you might make it shorter, or you might do something completely different with it, but with the basis of that first starting off point. Usually, the obvious way is with a blog. So you write a blog, and don't forget, you don't have to write, War and Peace. A blog can be, 300 words is enough to turn your little yellow lights to green on Yoast. So your SEO will be satisfied with 300 words. I've currently got a list of about 60 different ways to repurpose your content, and I'm adding to that all the time. So, say you write a blog, make a decision in your schedule to publish it on a Monday, and then you look at that blog and you've written, say a guide to choosing a supplier. So we could look at somebody like Marcus Sheridan, who does the pools. He started out with swimming pools. So you might have identified 4 ways to pick the best supplier. So one of the things you can do is you can create graphics with a tool such as Canva. So you can create little sound bites that you share visually. You can use them on Twitter, you can use them on Facebook, you can use them on Pinterest to create Pinterest boards, so collecting related topics. So you've got them, so you share them daily over social media. You can also reshare your blog as an article on LinkedIn. You can compile some of your graphics into a slideshare, so an online PowerPoint style presentation for people who like to look at things visually. You can you could write a top 5 list, and you could then decide to write a new blog focusing in detail on each of your topics. Or you could take a really long post, if you've got one, and highlight the top tips in that as a tip post. So that works either way. If people like to hear audio, you could record yourself reading out the whole blog, or you could find the key points and just turn them into little sound bites, which you can embed onto your site or share on social media. You could also grab your smartphone and broadcast it as a Twitter or a Facebook Live, or create a small video which you upload to YouTube at a later date. So there's lots of different things you can do.
And this is what blew my mind when I was just talking to you in that
Yeah.
coffee queue.
Yes.
And you're telling me all of this. I thought, well, why didn't I think of that? It's so obvious. And it hadn't, and I do repurpose, but I hadn't thought of repurposing in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's great. For example, so I'm going to be launching a new product in the next few weeks, in fact. So this is a brilliant way of really getting that message out in multiple forms, but with the same message. And it doesn't mean it's verbatim the same message, but it's relating to the subject of my product, of my program that I'm going to be launching.
Yeah, so you know what it is you're offering, you know what it is you want people to do, what they're going to get from that, and you just want to tell as many people as possible in as many different ways, and that's how repurposing helps you. You know, you've got your core message, and you just look at different ways of sharing it. And the good thing about it is that although I gave an example there of how to repurpose a blog, a lot of people are actually not comfortable with writing. They find it a chore. They have too many horror stories about, you know, English classes at school, and they think, you know, it's got to be formal. So a lot of people are more comfortable with video. We know that video is going to increase. It's going to be, depending on which statistic you look at, 80% or 90% by 2020. So a lot of people will feel more comfortable just shooting a video or recording a quick snippet to use as an audio. And the problem there is that there's lots of useful information, but then you worry that you're stuck with it in that format. So what do you do there? And there are ways of doing that, which is one of the things that I do, is by taking that video or the audio and transcribing it and turning it into a full transcript, and then from there you repurpose it in exactly the same way as we talked about with the blog. So you don't need to worry that you've got lots of valuable information that you can't break down into other formats, because there's always a way to do it, and that's really useful, I think.
And if you're stuck, you get in touch with Gudrun.
That's it.
And that's just it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody needs to be stuck.
No, not at all.
Because you know, as we were talking and you were telling me about how, you know, you could just take a quote and put that onto, I use Canva, but I hadn't thought about taking it from my blog.
Yeah.
And when you talked about the myriad of ways that I could use my blog to repurpose and to make into more content. Yeah. Just using different vehicles to present it, you know. Yeah. So you mentioned before that you've got a list of about 60. Now, do you have that available for people in a download, or is anything else in a download?
I can certainly share that if people wanted to get in touch and ask for that. I've got some guides on how to write a blog. So if you're feeling anxious about putting a blog together, I've got a very simple template that just allows you to draw it out in a little grid, and then you just, as a framework, and you build on that.
Fantastic.
So
fantastic. Yes. And I'm sure if people get in touch with you, you will have some very, very valuable resources that will help. Yeah. And this will elevate people beyond their expectation in the marketplace, really, won't it? In terms of getting out, being seen, being known, being exposed, metaphorically speaking.
Yes.
So that what happens is they are seen as the expert in their field, and they then attract people to them rather than chasing clients. They start and being this sort of magnet of attracting people.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. You know, the idea of content marketing is not really to give you more work. You know, it's just to maximize what you've got and to make the most of your knowledge, because that's why people choose to work with you and, you know, over your competitor. You know, you've got that knowledge, you show it, but you shouldn't think of content marketing as a chore. Yeah. You know, it is easy, it's straightforward. You get into a little routine, you get your schedule, and it's just like anything else. You know, you're just ticking things off your list. And there are people who can help you with it, so I can repurpose. I mean, you can look on some of the Content Mill websites, you know, and find cheap suppliers. The problem with that, the main one, is that most of them aren't native English speakers. And I think that's a big problem for people that I've spoken to. Is you might get a transcript, but you're going to have to go back and edit it yourself.
Yeah, I've had those myself, and I've trying to format it into something that's readable, you know, and so is presented in good English.
Yeah, and so in that sense, you haven't really saved yourself time or money, because it's time that you could have spent doing something more productive for your business. Absolutely. So that is costing you money in your own man hours.
Yeah. Fantastic. So Gudrun, how can people get in touch with you? Let's have your website and your email and whatever else you want to give.
Yeah, sure. So my website is just www.gudrunlorette.com. So everything's with my confusing name.
Yeah.
You can search me on LinkedIn, and I'm the only Gudrun Lorette on there. So you're definitely getting me.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter @Gudrun Lorette, which is I'll send you that to capital G and capital L. I'm on Instagram because I like to share my favourite word. I have a word of the week. So you can find me at Gudrun.Lorette. I do have a Facebook page, Gudrun Lorette Copywriting, but I'm not on Facebook as much. So Twitter and LinkedIn, or you can ping me an email, Gudrun@GudrunLorette.com.
Okay, that's brilliant. And I'm just going to spell your name.
Yes.
In fact, I'm going to let you spell it because I haven't got it just right in front of me, just to make sure I've got your surname right. So if you'd give us the spelling of your whole name.
Yep. So the first name is Gudrun. So it's Gudrun. And then the surname is Lorette, Lauret.
Fabulous. Gudrun, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. And I hope the listeners have had an aha moment and thought, oh, for heaven's sake, why haven't I been doing this? It just makes such sense. And thank you very much. And I know that we'll be talking again soon.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Bye for now.
Thanks. Bye.